Alright, here we are for a run-in driving video of our 78 GMC. Got all the lights going, been letting it idle for about 30 minutes so it's warmed up. You know, you'll see a little bit of that smoking going on. The longer this truck sits, like if it just sits for a couple weeks or whatever, and then you start it up, when you first start it up it's not going to smoke, but then as you get going and burn off some of that oil that's been sitting in there, it'll smoke a lot. But the more you drive it, the less it smokes. So, you know, it wasn't something that concerned me. Like I mentioned before, I was going to replace the replace the motor. The center pulley of the fan is either bent or not, you know, a little bit loose. You can kind of hear that little bit of a pulley kind of sound, but there's no ticking or knocking in the motor. But you know, it runs just a little bit rough. It could, you know, at low RPMs, maybe the idle's a little low, but that might also be due why it's smoking, why it's running a little rough. But it's hitting on all 8, and once you get going, it runs nice and smooth. But again, you know, it's something I'm not going to go through and do a tune-up on it when it was something I was going to yard out. And you know, everybody's idea of a project is different, so you know, you could drive this as is. You know, try to put some of that shaky stuff in there for $6-7 a can and see if the oil, the smoking will go away. You know, if you rev it up, you can see some of that white smoke. So it doesn't need a motor as in the sense of knocking or ticking. You know, it doesn't knock or tick, but you know, smoke. So you know, this truck, you could throw a nice little motor in it. You know, needs a neutral safety switch. Like I said before, they're just shifted in second. Shift's nice. You can see in the mirror, it's burning pretty clean. But like I said, if it sits for a long time, I'll turn the heat down. The heater works really good. If it sits for a long time, and you jump in it and go, a few minutes later, a couple miles down the road, it's going to start smoking pretty good, and then it'll clear out. Some of the oil's been sitting in there, but again, you can see in the rearview mirror, you know, it's not, you know, clouding anybody out. But you know, one time I let it sit for a month and I took it for a spin to go get some parts, and I got about 2 miles down the road and it was smoking pretty good. And then when I left the parts store, it was fine, you know, it cleaned up. But just want to represent everything correctly. The fuel gauge works, temp gauge works. Other than that, I think the other gauges are on vacation. But you can see there's no smoking going on, so, or it's very little, that the speed and the wind is keeping it down. So, really easy to turn, power steering. It's got some pretty fat tires, so if you're stopped in a parking lot, like on a nice summer day, it can be a little bit tough to move, but once you're moving, it's like butter. I mean, it's like a one-finger drive. Speedometer works, odometer works. I'm assuming it's got, you know, I was told the miles are once over, but it's nothing I can guarantee. So, you know, as I mentioned before, I mean, you can see going through these S-curves, it turns real nice, no binding or, you know, not, you know, any tie rod or ball joint issues. It's really fun to drive. I mean, these vans, you're right up on the bumper, so it takes a little getting used to, but I'm gonna do some backcountry roads to kind of show you what it looks like on just your easy, everyday type driving, if you're cruising around, and then I'll get you on the freeway. You know, all your lights work, got your wipers. You know, it's high speed, low speed, and that's it. I don't want to run too much because it's not raining right now. It looks like it's about to start. So I'll go ahead and punch it. Downshifts. You can see a little bit of smoke coming out there, and then it cleans out. So, you know, I don't know what it might be. You know, I'm assuming it's the original 305. So that's why, I mean, even if it was the 350, you know, 1978 isn't known for horsepower. You know, it's always been in dry storage until I got it, and I just haven't been able to get to do what I want to do to it. You know, I want it to be my parts runner. It was either going to be repainted in the original tan color, and I was going to take out all the shag and have it for like my swap meets going to getting parts, or what I really wanted to do, because it's the same year and a GMC, I was going to do the A-Team van. But I was going to keep the star windows because I love them, so it wasn't going to be and I wasn't going to, oh, that was my, that was my backpack. But you know, I wasn't going to be in like perfect correct A-Team van. I wasn't going to have the brush guard on there. So I'm going to get on the highway. You know, this front area here does rattle a little bit. so I'm not sure if it's not down all the way. You can see the, you know, not smoking. Hopefully you guys can see the rearview mirror. You know, it's about 3/4 throttle, 35 miles an hour. You got about floored now. It's not a whole too much of a difference. And now we're doing, you know, doing highway speeds. There's a, you know, motor mount might be bad or something. There's a little bit of a vibration, but again, this is, you know, a project. You know, anything from just repair what might be needed to you can do a full restoration. I wasn't going to do a full restoration. I was going to do like a sympathetic restoration or cosmetic restoration, whatever you want to call it. As in paint and body. And I love the wheels, the Western Turbine Mags. They can't get any better for this era of van. You know, it's the shorty van. You know, the 18 van was the longer one, but I like the shorty ones. They're just killer looking. You know, you can take it on the highway. You can drive it the way this, with the smoking, the way it is. You know, your motor's not, it doesn't have a blown head gasket. It doesn't knock, doesn't tick. You know, you might want to, if you do that, you might want to go through, do a tune-up, maybe do a little bit of tuning on the carburetor, clean the motor up a little bit, and you really could drive this the way it is. But the honesty and how clean this thing is as a survivor, you know, I would, you know, I think it deserves, it doesn't really need, it deserves a little bit more. It deserves a nice little, you could rebuild this motor, keep it numbers matching, or throw a nice little crate motor in there. Or, you know, your local machine shop's always got small block 350s. So I'll go ahead and pull over here to the side, come to a nice little stop. It stops nice and straight, no binding, pulling issues. I got stuff sliding around all over in here, but other than that, you know, that's part of the van. There's stuff in the back and it just comes forward when you stop. But other than that, it doesn't rattle a whole lot besides this issue. You know, still runs, doesn't load up. I'll put it in neutral. Rev it up, you know, you get a little bit smoking. And then we're gonna hit it again, but it's all right. It's going to no reserve. I hope this goes to a killer home that will fix it up, and then keep me posted. Give me updated pictures. So good luck.